Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome to the world of a business owner, juggling a whirlwind of responsibilities 2 to 5 years into the journey. Now, envision the transformative power of a mentor guiding you towards efficiency, fostering communication skills, and setting realistic goals. This mentor is the key molding a successful, profitable, socially conscious company. Harness the power of mentorship and let your business thrive. BrainShare Business Mentors is one of the top 10 mentoring firms in the San Francisco Bay Area. Let us help you build the business of your dreams. Select your path and get started today.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with the Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose. Serving others and, yes, achieving success while you're serving. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. And my guest today is incredible because he's going to show you that. And I want you to think about, while you're listening to my guest, how you serve today. And with that service, what impact will you create in your world today? Don't worry about the big world, but let's change your little world today and then let it move on from there. And I want to thank my two sponsors, BrainShare.us. Drive business success and sustainability with BrainShare Business Mentors, where your business flourishes and your vision comes to life. Check out the link in the show notes. And then pitchdb.com. Be a guest on over 3 million podcasts, speak at over 11,000 conferences, and much more. Build your thought leader platform with incredible opportunity to show who you really are. With that being said, impact is a strong word, and it's a word that's kind of battered around too much. People say, I made an impact, but I just made breakfast. And you can make breakfast and have an impact. But what my guest is doing today is diving into mental health. It's a huge issue. Things are happening every day, and he's out there serving this industry and this audience. And I want to welcome Dante to the show.
Absolutely. Steve, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited for the conversation today.
Let's jump into it. The Reju app, it's blowing me away when I first met it, as I told you and your partner. Let's talk about that and the goal of Reju.
Absolutely. So a little bit about the history of Reju. So myself and my fellow co-founders, Aaron Warwick and Greg Wilson, all went to Lincoln University together. And, we enjoyed our undergraduate time. We were able to build a friendship from there. And of course, naturally, what you do when you go to college, you graduate. So when we graduated from college, we were met with life's obstacles, which often new graduates encounter, but they don't talk about. That anxiety and that stress that comes with looking for a new job, or navigating life with family and family members that are getting older. I know, for example, my grandmother had just moved in because she was diagnosed with dementia the month after I graduated from college. So it's really navigating life's trials and tribulations while still trying to figure out what your path is. And unfortunately, that results in a lot of anxiety, depression, and just a lot of mental strife for young individuals. So all three of us were going through that at the same time, and really unbeknownst to each other because we were kind of in our own bubbles. But at one point we said, we started sharing content with each other, motivational content, inspirational books, referring each other to say, hey, maybe you should talk to a counselor or a therapist. Then after about 6 months to a year of doing that, we came together in December of 2018 and said, hey, how about we build a product with the tools and resources to help build up our mental and emotional wellness and share this with our larger community. And that's when Elevate was born. That was the original name for the product, Elevate. We eventually changed it to Reju, which is short for rejuvenation. But we had our first conversation in December 2018. We spent all of 2019 developing the product. And we worked on it. We added our new features. We had quotes, guided meditations, inspirational videos, and a community feature where people could connect and discuss their issues. We were able to launch our first MVP in February 2020, which is a very interesting time to launch a business because in March 2020, COVID happened and the world was changed, really as we know it. But, we launched the product there. We had some decent traction in 2020, but then we sat down and said, how can we make this product even more powerful? And that's when we had the idea of, no, it's time to connect actual therapists, nutritionists, wellness experts, anybody in the health and wellness field, being able to connect with your average everyday individual, regardless of where their financial status is. So that's when we started working on version 2 of Reju, which happy to announce we actually got it approved to be in the Apple App Store. We're in the process of getting approval for the Google Play Store as well. But that's a little bit about the story of Reju and how we got from just an idea in a notebook to a fully functioning product on the Apple and Google Play Store.
Well, I love this story. That's why I love having you on, and thank to your partners. And congratulations. Apple is not easy to work with when it comes to apps. It's just that's the how it works in their journey, and I'm glad you got added. What is the mission of Reju and 2.0 now we can say? What's your mission?
Absolutely. So in short, the mission of Reju is to serve as a personal guide to mental, physical, and emotional success. And the reason that we utilize the verbiage of the mental, physical, and emotional is because oftentimes a lot of people just want to focus on one aspect of it. Let's look at the gym, for example, the physical. Going to the gym is very popular. A lot of people do it. A lot of people say you should work out, but we don't work out our minds or that muscle in our head. We don't work that out nearly as much. And then when we think through the emotional aspect of our lives, a lot of us, especially men, a lot of us let our emotional feelings go to the wayside without working on it, cultivating it, and helping it grow. Because your emotions aren't a muscle like a bicep or a tricep, anything of that nature, but it is possible to strengthen it, or it is possible for it to deteriorate it if you don't pay attention to it. So the goal behind Reju is really bolstering that mental, physical, and emotional success with everybody that we encounter. And that's through our content and through the experts that we have in our platform.
You've had some people use the app. Do you have any good stories you can share with people using the app and what the success was?
Absolutely. So we actually had some really good feedback when we first brought the app to market. A lot of people, and this was something I noticed for myself, but for others, a lot of people didn't really know how to meditate, which it seems very simple on the surface level, but when you actually sit down and try to meditate when you've never done it before, it can be very easy to get distracted. So one thing that I'm personally proud of in the app, and we've got some good feedback on, is the actual guided meditations in the app, where an individual is actually talking you through the breathing techniques and the positive thoughts to let in and out as you go through that 5-minute cycle. So we've got a lot of good feedback from that, as well as the video features that we have as well that cover a wide variety of topics. And I'm talking about topics ranging from dating with anxiety to, preparing for an interview that you may be nervous about. And it's really just incorporating all of our lives experience into a positive platform. And I say a positive platform, not to knock any other social media platforms or anything, but you can find just as much bad on a lot of platforms as you could find good. So with Reju, we really wanted to build a platform where it would just be positive content, just be inspirational content, and things that can add to your life and not have you stressed out when you close that.
I love that because we need more positive in this world. You're right. Social media could go either way, and it affects people. I think about social media. We don't know that person sitting in their bedroom, going to their Instagram and seeing a post about suicide. And maybe their thoughts there, but then they can get, I love this. This is kind of brilliant what I'm doing here. But I jump on the Reju app, meditate, and watch a video to talk about depression and educate me to get me out of that funk. Am I thinking correctly on the journey with your app?
100%, 100%. And it's funny, the motivation behind that. When I started my own personal emotional wellness journey, the first thing I did was actually delete all my social media, and I was off for about 6 months. So the goal was, because I'm back on social media, you have to promote your product and build your
Yeah.
brand, obviously. But the goal was, I want to build something that every time I log into it, I don't have to scroll quickly past something because it may make me feel bad. Or, and this is a big one, I won't feel negative about how I compare myself to others when I see this platform. Because let's be honest, when you think about your Instagrams, your Facebook, your Twitters, people are just posting the highlights of their life. They're not posting the downs or the tough days. But when you're constantly seeing the highlights of somebody else's life and you're going through your own turmoil inside, that could be a really tough thing to grasp.
Yeah.
So that was part of the mission. So you were spot on with that.
And I like that because you go see that lady, 22 years old, she's a billionaire, dressing in all these clothes, going, I wish I could be, I'll never be like, and again, you go down that rabbit hole. How
Mhm.
much is privacy? Because, of course, this is a very private and emotional situation that people are in. Can they use the app and be private with their communication?
100%. So we're on a HIPAA compliant server.
Mm-hmm.
AWS is actually HIPAA compliant regardless of how you utilize it. But we have cybersecurity experts in a team that actually made sure the data is encrypted within the app as well. So if an individual is chatting with a practitioner, therapist who they book a session with, all of that is private. I wouldn't even be able to see it at first glance without permission, because we really just want to be really intentional about that, because you have to be very vulnerable to be able to open up to somebody to talk about the things that are bothering you. So we want to honor that and make sure that it's on a platform that takes security as serious as our individuals. So yes, it's completely private and the data is encrypted that individuals will input.
And I'm thinking if they're not able to be open, your app doesn't work because they don't open up. And it's just back to social media, watching Instagram and doing that. I'm not bad. I mean, social media has a place, and I'm not bashing it. Dante, I'm not going to speak for him. We're not bashing it, but we want to be careful, especially young kids these days. Regards to the app and what you think somebody should do when they jump on the app for the first time, what kind of journey will they go on?
So when you download the app, you'll be able to first create a profile. But before you get to creating your profile, it would ask you a series of questions. Some of your basic demographic questions, what's your name, when were you born, things of that nature. But then we really dive into the details of, how do you manage stress? On a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you have anxiety? Within the last 2 weeks, would you say they were good, really bad, positive, negative? And once you finish answering those questions, every time you open the app, there's actually another question that pop up. And this is actually in the form of emojis where you can select how you feel in that current moment. And the reason we incorporated that mood tracker into V2 is so you could actually keep track of, what is my progress? Have I been a little off this week? Have I been happy through the duration of this week, and why? But once you finish completing your profile, it would take you to the home screen, and you would have a daily message that would be the first thing that shows up. And you would get a new message every day. And this is a series of health topics ranging from mental health to giving tips on, fitness, drinking water every day, things of that nature. So it will be a different message every day. Immediately after that, you would have your screen with the library of our content, ranging from video and audio publications, such as the guided meditations that I mentioned earlier. And aside from that, you would also have an explore page where you can view the therapists and practitioners that we have in the profile, see where their licenses are, the cost for a session looks like, and really book a session right then and there. So those are a bit of the experiences that individuals will have. There are a few other features not as prevalent, like we do have a support chat that's powered by AI. So that actually helps you from a conversational standpoint by taking pieces of content in the app and answering any questions that you have. I was playing around with it and I just asked the AI, I'm about to go on a date, I'm kind of nervous. What should I do? And it gave me like 3 paragraphs of, just
That's cool.
tips. Yeah, just
Yeah,
tips
that's
on like
that's
beforehand.
yeah, because even those sentences resonate with you in this case. That's great. Well, make sure you look in their eyes. I don't know if it said that, but that, because education is power. And that's kind of what you're doing with the app, is educating people so you don't go down that black hole to a catastrophic situation, kind of bring you back, but educating you so you don't go back there ever again.
100%. And I'm so glad you used the term education, because one of the driving forces behind this is teaching people how to live better. Unfortunately, a lot of people really don't know how to improve their lives or their emotional situation or just those factors. So it's really just showing practical tips, because I'm not going to say it's easy. Switching habits is never an easy thing, but it's not as out of reach as people think to really change your life from an emotional standpoint. And I say emotional because that's the foundation. And once you change that, the things around you are going to start changing too.
Yeah. And I know I love that. That is so well said, Dante. These guys get it. They're not here, but Dante and his team, his partners are unbelievable. I know when I first met you, I asked you this question. Okay, this is great and I love it, but why can't I just go to YouTube and just Google it or YouTube it?
Absolutely. So the reason that we have the specific content that we do have in the app is because we engage with end users and we engage with therapists and practitioners as well to understand what's necessary. What do we have to have in this app? And the reason that, we encourage people to go through the onboarding process fully is because the content that's suggested to you will actually be based off of what you answered. So if you say, I experience anxiety on a daily basis, we'd have content that would get sent to you, guided meditations that would get suggested to you based off of your response. So while YouTube is great, I'm a graduate of YouTube University. This is a tailored,
I love that.
a tailored experience based off of your own inputs.
Yeah, this is so good. Audience, I hope you're getting that. It's Reju, Reju. Just look it up on your app stores on Apple and it's coming to Google. And if you want to go to reju.com, correct? That's your app. And I'm sure you can sign up and they'll let you know when Android is coming. So let's talk about stress. This is kind of what your app's about. What is it like building a startup while raising a family at the same time?
Man, that is quite an experience. I'll say that. So, I have a wife. I have a 1-year-old daughter. She just turned 1 in January, and we currently live in North Carolina. And I mentioned that we live in North Carolina because my family is in Jersey, her family's in Florida. So we're here building our own basis while I work on scaling a business as well. So in regards to what the experience is, I mean, to get real granular on a day-to-day basis, it's a whole lot of notebooks. It's planning everything out to a T. It's sometimes racing through the day, looking up, realizing it's 9 o'clock. But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And the reason I say that is because naturally, we've already talked about it. I'm passionate about the app. I'm passionate about the business. I'm passionate about our mission and helping as many people as possible. And my family has really served as not only a grounding tool, but it takes some of that stress from the app away, from trying to build a business, from trying to scale a business, because my daughter is only 1. So she has basic needs, basic understanding, but through looking at her, I learned so much. Like, for example, we had a rough patch in the app where from a technology standpoint, we just couldn't get it to do certain things that we were trying to get it to do. And ironic enough, at that same time, my daughter was learning how to walk. So every day I would watch her try to walk and fall, watch her try to walk and fall. But every time she got up, no matter how hard she fell, every single time she got up. She's less than 1 at this time. So I'm watching her and I'm saying, you know what? If somebody who's been on this earth for less than 12 months knows that if you want something, you just keep getting back up, there's no reason I can't do the same, because I've been here for a lot longer than she has.
Well, and I love that whole story you told, because you get home, you got the 1-year-old, she takes all, it's a she, it's a girl?
It's just a girl, yep.
What's her name?
Alina.
Alina, oh, beautiful name. She takes your attention away from business. You're
Mhm.
not sitting there on the couch going, oh, I got to do this and we didn't do this. Oh, we screwed this up. You can walk away from the business for a while. And that's a great lesson for people that have startups and businesses. Use that family as, not use is not the right word, but bring family in to get you away from your business, right?
100%. And I'd even take it a step further. I have to acknowledge my wife as well because
Mm, yeah.
she she's not officially a part of the team, but she's very engulfed in making sure that we're successful as well. She knows when I've had a tough meeting or a bad day because she could just look at it in my face. And we may talk about it briefly, but it's also a good way to say, you know what? Just because you have a bad day doesn't mean you have a bad life. Just because you have a bad moment doesn't mean that you have a bad business. And that's very, it's all simple stuff to say, but it changes the trajectory and the mindset of an entrepreneur's mind so much because you know very well, Steve, we take our businesses very personal.
Mhm.
We take it
Yeah.
very personal, sometimes too personal.
Yeah. Fortunate, unfortunate, it is. So your wife is like your app, but she's a real life human where she supports you when you have those days that just weren't the best days, which is what your app does. I go have a meeting and I get a no, I lose $1 million contract. Where do I go? We don't go right to meditate. We go start working again. So
Mhm,
taking Reju and going there and clicking the meditation, okay, I got to calm down. Got to
mhm.
meditate, that's the other power of your app, right?
100%. 100%. When real life example, I told you we launched the app a month before COVID hit. Now, that first week where they said, you're going to work remote, me and my coworkers were like, oh, this is great. We get to work from home. But then when you work remote for the third week, it's almost like what's really about to happen. So it was then I started every day with a guided meditation directly from Reju. Every day I will wake up and start with a guided meditation because, as much anxiety as I had about just the world in general at that time, you still gotta make it happen. You still gotta show up for work. You still gotta show up for your loved ones. So that was really grounding and helpful during that time period.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good message. And God is so amazing putting you in a situation. What a perfect app to have right before COVID, too. I know you didn't, but you were able to learn because of COVID and go
Mhm.
from Elevate to Reju 1.0. Now you're at 2.0, which if you're an app company or listening to you on an app, make sure it updates because life changes. The app has to change, right? I think you
100%.
probably learned that lesson.
100%.
So you're starting a new business and it's COVID. What were
Mhm.
your challenges besides coming home to your family, in this or being home with your family with distress?
So big challenges at the time. Of course, we couldn't really engage face to face with individuals. Um, Part of having a brand and having a business is actually putting your face out there and individuals getting to meet you and know you because they're investing in you as an individual just
Mm,
as much as they're investing in your brand. So it was really tough being able to have that engagement, especially in the baby phases of the product, because everything was virtual, everything was over the phone or via Zoom, which works well, but it's not the same as when you get to shake somebody's hand and actually sit in a room with them and hear their story. So that was a challenge. And really, in addition to that, it was understanding how to build a business and work in the business at the same time. That was probably the largest learning curve that we had because before we launched the app, it was really just head down working on the business, you know, just focused on the product itself. But
right.
once you put your product to market, now you have marketing, you have customer service, you have to delegate certain roles to your team, and you have to focus on building your product while optimizing the current product that you have, which can be quite a task when you're new to something or when you're first launching something. So that was an area that we had to learn. And I would say another challenge was during that time because me and my co-founders were spaced out at the time. I was in Jersey, they were in DC.
Yeah.
Now, I used to travel often to see them during the development phases, but when we first launched and travel was a bit restricted and people weren't sure what to do, it was also that element of, man, I haven't gotten in a room with my guys in a couple of months. And like I said earlier, you can still communicate via Zoom and over the phone, but magic happens when people are actually in the room together.
That's true. And you spend, 2 hours mastermind or 3 hour, whatever, because you're not going to spend 3 hours on a Zoom.
Yep.
I mean, you can, and people have. I'm not saying you can't, but it's just, and you're so right. We're getting to the other end of the time here. What is the future of Reju that you see happening?
Absolutely. So from a future standpoint, a couple of goals behind Reju. We want to be able to integrate ourselves into multiple markets, including the higher education space, the nonprofit space, education overall, and sports and fitness. And that's just from a standpoint of, we know that there are groups and collective groups of individuals who really need these services because of the pressure that's on them. And we focused on higher education, the nonprofit space, and the sports and fitness space, because higher education, I believe it was 68% last time I checked it. 68% of college students mentioned that they had some sort of mental health crisis during their time in undergrad. That's very alarming. And it's very alarming for multiple reasons, because one, college is supposed to be a time where you find enjoyment, you grow as an individual, and you find your community that you want to build upon. I understand why they face the stress. I had stress when I was in college as well, but I'd like to be able to solve that problem. I mentioned the nonprofit space, and particularly workforce development, because that's where my background is in. In the workforce development space, you find the people who are looking to either find better jobs or find employment overall. And that is a very stressful experience for anybody that's been in between jobs or looking for jobs or currently is looking for a job. It's a very stressful experience. And as I alluded to earlier, when your emotions are all over the place, it's that much harder to be productive. So focusing on that area as well. And also looking at the sports and fitness industry. Little fun fact about me, I played 6 sports in my lifetime, and I was a college athlete as well. The stress and pressure that young athletes put on themselves is very disappointing, and not disappointing to the athlete themselves, but I'm saying disappointing in society overall, that a 10-year-old can't just go out and play football because they love it. They feel like they have to succeed because it's the only way that they can advance their family. So looking at that as well. Of course, we're looking at other industries because mental health is something that everybody can apply to, but those are the top 3 that's on my head. But to make it even more quantitative, when I think about goals, shining stars to get to that first 1,000 booked therapy and counseling sessions through the app. And I say the first 1,000, we want to surpass 1,000, but right now it's locked in on that first 1,000, because that's our way, our mission, our thought process, and how can we change lives? So that's next step, next goal for Reju, getting that first 1,000 sessions.
Dante is a smart guy. That's why I love working with him, because he brought it full circle back to impact. He wants to make an impact. And this is great. I love the sports. NIL has destroyed, wrong word. NIL has changed the landscape of college sports if it keeps going forever. And with that, it's stress. Do I stay in college? Do I take the NIL? I'm making as much, that's stress in itself. People are like, well, they're making money. No, there's stress because there's other decisions to be made, which they can write the Reju app, go, okay, meditate. Let's
100%.
figure this thing out. Dante, thank you. And thank you, partners, for an incredible app. Thank you for being on. It's been incredible. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Don't forget, Dante gave you some great tips here. Use the forward and reverse buttons on the podcast platform to listen to 5, 6, 7, 3 minutes of this, and listen to it over like his Reju app. Go back to the podcast and save it if there's stuff that resonate with you. We'd love for you to watch and listen to the whole podcast, but that's okay. If we can change your life or change somebody you love in your life, somebody that you love in your life, a friend, a family member, we're going to be super happy and blessed that you've done that. Don't forget about my swag. Let's get doing business with a servant's heart on your chest, on your head, and on your hoodies. Let's spread that message. Let's serve before selling. Let's serve and see what happens. Don't forget my TV show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, every Friday. Together we serve. And last but not least, as always, I thank all of you for watching and listening to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Me and Dante, thank you much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.